Oh, wait.
Are you unmuted?
Look, I was like, wait a minute. Hey, Facebook.
Hey, Facebook. No. Hey, YouTube.
It's Angie.
And Renee.
And we have a special guest. I was going to say in the house. Well, she's in the house. She's in
Literally.
her house.
Oh, wow.
We have a special guest with us tonight, and we are like so excited. Let me tell you.
Mhm.
So excited.
Yes.
So, would you like to? And oh, yes. And we missed you all last week. We really
Yes.
did. I tried. Just say, I tried. But anyway, we're here tonight. Hey,
Yes.
Tamiko. Hey, Melanie.
Hello.
Yes. So, where do we start?
Mm,
Introduce herself.
okay. Well, I'm excited to be here today. My name is Kimberly T. Wilson, and I am the CEO and founder of Alliance Business Solutions. And what I do at Alliance Business Solutions is I help high level achievers push through the issues and roadblocks that prevent them from realizing their high success or high level goals. So that's one of the primary things that I do. I'm a certified international life coach and business coach as well. So happy to be here.
Yes, and we are happy that you are here. Okay.
Okay.
Miss High Level. Yes, I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. And she's internationally certified.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I have a question already.
All
Okay.
right, let's go.
So, we all know COVID hit and it's still kind of here, but a lot of businesses are fading away. Um, so you're saying that you help people. How would you help a business owner, a small business owner who's trying to figure out what to do now?
Well, working with small business owners is kind of my wheelhouse. So one of the things I do is I help them to gain clarity on their personal goals first as a business owner. If I'm working with a business owner, I'm trying to help them to identify and clarify their own personal purpose and mission statement and goals, because if they know where they want to go as an individual, it's a lot easier for them to lead the helm of their business. And then we work from there to then define the mission statement and vision for the actual business and come up with a game plan to make that happen.
I think that's a dynamic approach to it, because a lot of times when you talk about business coaching, you're talking about, okay, let's just see what's the vision for the business, and that's where you start. But
Mhm.
I totally agree, and I think that like I said, I think that's a great place to start, is getting into the mind, into the heart of the owner. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And that kind of segues into what tonight's topic is, because there's so many different um, issues and dynamics that small businesses face, and entrepreneurs or people who want to get in that space, along with executive level individuals who may not be interested in owning a business, but they are in a position of leadership.
Mhm.
And again, if they don't know what their own personal purpose is, or mission, then they will tend to get into situations where their own personal goals are not aligned with perhaps the mission that they are trying to, bring to pass within the business. And there's this disconnect, and that's definitely one of the things that can lead to overwhelm, because you're not connected, or there's no connection. And when you don't know where you're going, especially if you're a high level individual, if you are a leader of any type, you are skilled in a variety of different things. I mean, to be a leader, it would be a very odd situation if you were only good at one thing. So
Right.
as leaders, we tend to have a level of expertise or at least a level of knowledge to perform well in a variety of different aspects of said business or even our lives. But if we don't have that mission statement or purpose statement that guides us, then we tend to take on too much and
Mhm.
find ourselves overcommitted. And then that's what leads to those feelings of overwhelm and feeling like you're drowning. And because in your head, I can do this.
Right.
And so why am I feeling like I'm drowning?
Mhm.
And in most cases, it is because you've taken on things that are not aligned with your actual purpose, they're not aligned with even the purpose of the job that you have signed on to do.
Mhm.
And so that's where I'm really good at coming in and helping to kind of clear the clutter and, provide a pathway to success, where I help my clients to see and to look at, what are all of the things that you have on your plate?
Mhm.
And then what things are really tied to the mission, whether it's my personal mission or the mission for which I'm being paid, um, which things are urgent and require my total attention, which things can be scheduled or rescheduled for a different time, because sometimes, we'll take on things. And again, if you are a leader, a lot of times you're thinking, okay, I got to get it done. But if
Right.
you never ask the person who gave it to you, when do you actually need it? It may be something they don't need for 2 months, and you're
Mhm.
trying to cram it into this week's work,
Right. Right.
which
Right.
can lead to the overwhelm. But
Mhm.
but even with that, there's an assessment that needs to be done to determine which things can be offloaded or
Mhm.
delegated to somebody else, which
Yeah.
again, with high performers, one of the issues is the inability to delegate.
Yes.
Am I speaking your language, Renee?
Yes.
Renee, I know this because that's me. That's me, right? Because
Yes.
you're like, I know exactly what I want and what it takes to get done. And it's gonna take too much time for me to download it to somebody else, and then they may not do it right. And that's a lie. It's
I
just
was gonna say that's so not always true.
it's not.
And being a business owner, or when you're a director or supervisor or anything like that, like you said, you're just like, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can just go ahead and do it. And then here you are, you're stuck with all this stuff on your plate
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't want to delegate or you didn't want to bother anybody.
Exactly.
Um, but then it's like, we always have to we that's you're speaking a lot of people's language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we just have, but I think that's one of the great things of being a good leader is knowing
Absolutely.
when to, like you said, to outsource and to also.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
How do
Because
you do that though, Kim? Like, because I'm used to.
which part, Renee? How do you get it out of your head and then onto somebody
See,
else's
I
plate?
I get it out my head, and I know a lot of small business owners do this. When you are a small business owner, it's like you can pay a personal assistant, but it's like that money can go towards something in the business. So I'll just do it. How do you learn when to say, okay, I can outsource, or let me do this? Stop trying to do everything. When do you say,
When
yeah?
do you say that? Well, it typically takes you, unless you're just massively self-aware and you are massively aware of your weaknesses and the fact that that is a weakness. A lot of times you need to be in discussion with someone else, you know, to really to have those conversations, because at the end of the day, it's almost never a matter of whether or not the leader can do the thing.
Right.
The real question is, what happens if I don't allow someone else to help?
Mm-hmm.
Does the project get delayed? Am I leaving money on the table? And doing that cost analysis. Yes, it may cost something to have a personal assistant. And even with that, I have a client I was speaking with just last week. It was the end of the week. Just last week. And it was funny because we began talking last year. And we went through, we went through the discovery call, what his needs were. I provided him with a proposal. I completely understood what his pain points were, what he needed, how we can make it happen. I laid all of that out in the proposal. And it was the same thing. He's literally built, $1 million business almost on his own with using very little help. Mm-hmm. However, so he didn't push, the play button. And then he came back around a few weeks ago, and literally the biggest part of the issue, the thing that will get the ball rolling so that he can actually achieve the success that he wants. Well, it's additional success because he's already successful.
Right.
But the thing that gets the ball rolling, I was able to do it in one day.
Wow.
One day. And it's not because he's not smart. It's not his wheelhouse.
Right.
So he is a service provider. He has clients who pay him. And again, that's one of those things, especially with small business owners who don't have mentors or who have not been coached in that space. It is hard for them to let go of any part of it because that business is like their baby.
Yes.
But the thing is that the business is like 12 years old. It's not an arm baby anymore. The kid is walking and talking and on a basketball team and everything. So, you got to wean it off. But the thing is that, so then there's the cost factor. So what if he had allowed me to do what I do last year? Right? So a whole year has passed. He's told me what his goals are. And he's got some real estate investment. And he says he wants to move away from one aspect of the business to free him up to do these other things. I promise you, he's going to be there by February.
Wow.
Right. He's going to be there with February because he's brought me on. And I'm not saying, I'm everything. I mean, I'm pretty cool.
You're good at what you do.
She said, I'm pretty cool.
I'm pretty cool. I know what I know. And so the thing is that he's wasted a year. He's wasted a year. And so, the money you save, is that really a saving?
So when as you were talking and, you were saying, okay, he's gotten it up, but now we're talking about sustainability. And I think that we need to think about that as well, because he is successful now, but you want your business to be able to sustain these things and to not just keep the same momentum, but to move up. And
Absolutely.
like you said, to free out of the way. Mm-hmm. To be able to do something else. So
absolutely. And that's and that's the thing. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm working with a client, we work on a roadmap and a plan. It's like it's not all going to happen in 30 days.
Right.
But you give me, 3 to 6 months, we're going to make some things happen. You stretch it out to the year, the sky's the limit, and the thing is that you can combat those feelings of overwhelm when you realize or recognize, okay, although I can do all the things that I'm doing, it's not the most beneficial for me to do all those things. So even when we look at, again, a leader, maybe not a business owner, but a leader, maybe you're a manager or director. How can you lead if you're the only one doing everything? Are you going to be the leader or are you going to be the worker?
Right. You're going to be the whole team.
You're going to be the whole team by yourself. Then you're not a leader. You
Not
are a solopreneur, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not a leader. You're not a leader unless you have followers. And a good leader can motivate those that they lead to operate at their highest potential.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it says, do you help clients with setting prices for their services?
Yes, I do. So the whole thing. But even before we began with prices, it's who is your ideal client? Because a lot of us, again, and I know we hear it.
Mm-hmm.
We hear, who is your ideal client? But the question is, how do I get to that? How do I drill down to that?
Mm-hmm.
Because your ideal client, again, 9 times out of 10 is somebody who was in your position just yesterday, or last week or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So there's work that we have to do to drill down to determine who is your ideal, because your ideal client is someone that you know that person, their pain points, know kind of what makes them tick. And when you know that, you can help them so much better. So if you think about any challenge that you've had in life, right, that you overcame, you successfully overcame, even if you failed first, you successfully overcame. Aren't you in a unique position to guide someone else who may be going through that same thing?
Yes.
You're able to help them to learn from your mistakes, to learn from your lessons learned. It's like, listen, I did it this way, and I see you headed down that road. And you can go down that road, but I'm just saying, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't have to be that costly even. Right. So determining who your ideal client is first, based on, again, what your purpose is. Then with that, you can absolutely coach them and lead them in a way that provides amazing impact and value.
Indeed. And I think that sometimes it is when you're a small business owner, you're so excited to get it out there, and then you're like, well, who's your ideal client? Anybody that's gonna pay? Everybody. I want to help the world.
It is and that's a wonderful thing, to want to help the world. But think about it like this: even in the Bible, David wanted to build a temple for God. That's an admirable thing to want to do, right?
Right.
He had the position and the wherewithal to make that happen. But God said, no, you're not the person I called to do that. Your son is.
Wow.
So what would have happened if David continued to push on because he could?
Wow.
He would have likely found himself in a position of feeling overwhelmed, because he would have been taking things on that he wasn't even designed to take on. And then also robbing his son of the thing that he was called to do.
Wow. I would have never looked at it that way.
Me either.
Like robbing somebody else from what it is that they've called to do, because you're like, I don't want to give up the seat. And I don't think that it's always because you're selfish. And you made a very great point. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And I learned that at my current organization. And it was a project that we were working on, and I was like, I could do that. Because I find myself a little crafty or whatever. And I was like, I can do that. And my CEO was like, no, I have other things that I want you to do. We're going to get somebody
Absolutely.
else to do that. And I was
Absolutely.
like, but I like doing this stuff. He's like, okay, but I have something else for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. And I just had to say, just because you can
Yes.
doesn't mean that you should.
Absolutely.
That's the greatest thing ever. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there are times that like you said, just because I can doesn't mean I should, because in this particular season, because that's the thing. Usually if it's something that you can do, it's because you did it and you probably did it well in
Right.
a particular season. But the season that you're in is calling for something completely different for you.
Wow.
And if you don't let go of the thing that is no longer a part of this season's vision, it's no longer a part of this season's journey, then you're going to miss out on the things that you were supposed to get and learn and master in this particular season.
Amen. Amen.
I like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Minister Kim.
Yes.
It's so funny.
Well, she really is. She left that title off. She really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell though. I can tell. She's in there with the word. I love it.
Right.
Love
right.
It. So
But Renee, well, I was going to say, Renee, even back to your point when you said, how do you do that? How do you offload it on, those things onto somebody else? It's again, seeing the big picture. Because when we're in a place of feeling overwhelmed, when we're in a place of overcommitting, we literally have our heads down and all the stuff is all around us. So we can't even see the big picture.
Wow.
So seeing the big picture can help, things come into focus. And then just like Angie said, okay, all right, I'm going to let it go. And at that moment, she still didn't see the big picture. She just knew her CEO had some things in store. And then how did that turn out for you?
Actually, it turned out great. I mean, it turned out great. There were other things that were assigned to me. Still had my hand in the pot a little bit, because it wasn't me being so involved. It was me overseeing it.
Absolutely.
Right. And then letting somebody else do it. But it opened up time for me to do other things.
Absolutely. And that's the key. That's one of the major keys to overcoming overwhelm. Because when we're so overwhelmed by the things that are either on our plate or in our head, because sometimes the overwhelm is in our head. It's fear of failure. It's perfectionism, which is fear of failure.
Yeah.
Because perfectionism sounds better. It sounds like, well, I just want it to be perfect. I want to provide excellence.
Right.
Phooey. You can't, if you don't deliver, you're not providing anything.
You're right.
So just stop. So the thing is that, and again, I'm speaking from a place of experience, because that is me. I will be dotting the I's and crossing the T's up until showtime.
Right.
And I love to research. When I tell you, I will research a thing to death. Renee, we're gonna become best friends after this, girl. Well, I know you can't do that, but I'm just saying we're gonna be real cool because it's the truth. And so Renee, with that, right? One of the things that I had to learn. So since Angie brought up the fact that I am a minister, so years ago, one of the things I had to come to grips with was because I was feeling overwhelmed every time I had to preach, and that was because I didn't have a system and a plan in place. So I'm studying, literally up until showtime, up until the time it's time to preach, right? And I've got all these notes. I promise you. First of all, I just love researching. So every time I had to preach, I have like 3 or 4 sermons. Then I was confused in terms of which one am I supposed to preach. And let me tell you, when I realized I had to get a system in place, because
one message,
all the pages, right? I had a very dear friend who was also a minister. He said, Kim, and we were friends outside of church. He said, Kim, where were all those post-it notes? I didn't even know. I didn't even know they could see my post-it notes from the podium, right? I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. From that point on, I said, stop. This madness has to stop. And so
Right.
then I put in a system. That's it. And this system is for me.
Yes.
For me, the
Yeah.
research has to stop by Wednesday if I'm preaching
Right.
on Sunday.
Right.
Okay. I need to have bullet points laid out
Mhm.
by Thursday. I need to go up because I need to go over it. And then come Friday, I'm not touching it again until
Mm.
Saturday night when I'm only going to read over it for an hour. And then
Wow.
I'm closing the books on it
Yeah.
because it will trip you up. That perfectionism and that need to continue studying, it also comes from, sometimes it can come from a place of imposter syndrome. It's like,
Mm.
I I just can't get up there and embarrass myself. I can't embarrass my pastor. I need to know all the things. You don't need to know all the things. You need to know the one
Yeah.
thing that you're focusing on,
Yeah.
that particular thing.
Okay, Kim, I'm gonna give you a call.
Yeah, that is, listen, let me tell you, everything that you just said about yourself is
Mhm.
definitely Renee. And I always have to tell her, stop. Just stop.
Stop.
Just
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
That's
Just
me.
stop.
That's
That is
me.
her all day
It
because
is.
yeah, if she has to give a word on Wednesday, she's also a minister. So
Mhm.
yeah, she has to give a word and she's like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "Just stop. Just
Yes.
close it. Stop it.
You
Close the
you do.
computer, close the book, put
You
the
do.
pen down, just stop."
You do. You have to, because Renee, with all the research that you've done, with all the
All
things
the
you've
post-it
done,
notes.
you know it. You you
Exactly.
you know it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like so being in that space where perfectionism gets in the way,
Mhm.
um that again, that definitely happens a lot with small business owners, again,
Yes.
who don't, who haven't been mentored. We all need mentors,
Mhm.
Yeah.
everybody. So who haven't been mentored and who are holding that baby so close to the vest. It's for them the idea of letting any of it go,
Mhm.
or holding on to everything to the point where things are beginning to fall apart at the seams.
Mhm.
The feeling is like jumping out of a plane, and you feel like, I have no parachute. You
Mm.
actually do have a parachute.
Yeah.
You just haven't pulled the plug.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so the plug is getting the help you need. The plug is having a system and a plan in place. And so you can either lean in to this rapid descent, or you can breathe and pull the plug.
Wow.
I have
Okay,
a
so we're
question.
gonna chew on that for a minute here.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and ask this question. So, hey, Monica, she wants to know, how do you distinguish between your passion and purpose?
Well, your passion, your passion will most likely come from your purpose.
Hmm.
Um, so your passion is for you. Your purpose is for others. So it's, how am I supposed to serve others? That's my purpose.
Okay.
How I do it may be my passion. So I know I love to teach. Teaching is my passion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how do I realize that along with my purpose? Well, my purpose is, I strongly believe, to help people get unstuck, to get from where they are to where they want to be. As simple as that. Now,
Yeah.
that's whether it's in business or in their personal life. Help people get from where they are to where they want to be. I do that through teaching or coaching. All right. Coaching is
Okay.
the passion.
Okay.
Hmm.
Got it. All righty.
So
So
your passion comes from your purpose, and the purpose is for others. Did I get that right?
Yes, the purpose is what I do to serve others, how I show up to serve others. That's the purpose.
I absolutely love it.
And so sometimes, especially for leaders who are still working a 9 to 5,
Hmm.
that then becomes a challenging thing to grapple with.
Mm,
Because you might be in a 9 to 5 job that has nothing to do with your purpose. It's something that you can do and it's a paycheck.
mm,
Well, you can either find a way to use your purpose or to use your passion, in that job, or you have to find it outside of the job.
mm.
So if you feel like I'm supposed to be at this job, and maybe being at this job is just for a season, or
Right.
maybe it's just, it's the way I'm going to pay my bills.
Hmm.
So I would take for example, somebody um, who wants to be an artist, whether you're painting or you're singing, uh, or you want to be an actor. You have to do something to pay your bills. Right?
Right.
So that's the day job. So
Hmm.
you do the day job, which is fulfilling your purpose of having a roof over your head and some food while you
Right.
pursue this dream. And you do that until you realize the dream. But you need to have a plan in place. If you don't have a plan in place, a dream without a plan and action is just a dream. It is
Wow.
just a
Hmm.
dream. It will never come to pass if you don't have a plan and action behind it.
Amen. Amen. So, okay, so since we're talking about overcoming overwhelm,
Yes.
so a lot of creatives,
Mhm.
they have like all these ideas,
Yes.
and a lot of them may align with their purpose or, within that scope or that business, but like they're over flooding with ideas.
Mhm.
And then they have lost some. Mhm. and
No problem, Renee.
and
I
then
got
they're kind of like, well, now I don't know what to do because
Yeah.
it's so much.
Mhm. Right.
How do you like
Deal with that.
nail it down? Yeah, how do you figure it out?
Okay, so first of all, creatives, um, and people who have an entrepreneurial spirit,
Mhm.
right? When you have that, you're gonna always have a lot of ideas.
Right.
So one thing is, if you're not already doing this, you better keep a notebook by your bed, or you utilize the notes feature on your phone if you have that, right?
Right.
Some way of recording it, because those ideas come at any time of the day or night.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
can, I
Yes.
mean, it'll wake you up sometimes, and you have these
Mhm.
ideas, and you just need to get it down, right? So
Right.
that's the first thing. Get it out of your head and onto the paper. Because if you don't, especially, those times when, Renee, I'm just going to address this to you, those times when you just wake up and you're like, oh my God, I have all these ideas. And
It's
literally, if
one
you don't
second.
write them down, right? If you say, well, I'm gonna go work out first and do this and do that, and I'll come back and then I'll write it down. You done forgot half of the idea, you know,
Right.
right? So you need to have some way to get it out of your head and to write it down, or to record it somewhere. Now, determining what to do first, and this kind of comes back to the initial discussion of dealing with overwhelm. Sometimes it's, it's
Oh
right for me to do, it's right for me to do at this time. Sometimes it's something that we have to schedule for a future date. So the way
right.
you know that, again, you come to understand what your purpose is,
Mhm.
and being able to articulate that to yourself before,
Mhm.
whether or not you ever articulate it to somebody else. Just like I was able to say in just one sentence. That's not the whole thing for me, it's a whole paragraph. But my purpose is to help people get unstuck and go from where they are to where they want to be. That's it in a nutshell, right? So once I know that, then the question becomes, okay, what am I supposed to do in this particular season?
Mm,
Right? Because some of the ideas you get are for a future season.
yes.
So then you can kind of put them in buckets. And so I like to put together, long-term goals, again, that flow from my purpose,
Hmm.
uh, and then kind of work backwards, into my short-term goals. So for instance, again, I already told you what my purpose was, right? However, in February of this year, I felt this insatiable need to write a purpose statement for this particular season that I was in.
Mm,
And and I reached out to two of my sisters and I told them, I knew health. I wanted to be better about my health. I didn't have any major health issues, but I felt like I needed to be working out more. I need to eat better. There's some things I know that are not good for me to eat, and so I need to stop doing that. So I asked them, I asked them if they would keep me accountable, and they were like, absolutely. And so we all wrote out like a purpose statement for our health during this particular season.
wow.
Well, I was thinking just physical health, right?
Mm,
But God,
okay.
2 days in it, 2 days into it, I was like, I need a purpose statement for this season that I'm in. And so
Wow.
it was more about my emotional health.
Yes.
And when I wrote that out, I want to tell you that was a turning point for me. I started my coaching and consulting business 2.5 years ago. And I had my quit date, right? Because, everybody has vision boards and it's, this is my vision. When are you going to do it? Put a date to it and so on and so forth. And it was like, just seemed like that day kept coming and going. And it was because I hadn't put a plan in place. But at this point, I wrote out the mission statement and for this season. And that mission statement was, I will show up for myself and for my goals and dreams with the same energy that I show up for other people's dreams and goals. And
Wow.
and my dreams and goals are important because they are legacy driven.
Wow.
That was
That
it.
yeah. That's deep. I don't know what happened to your mic. I could hear you, but it seems like it's kind of like an echo or far away. I heard you.
Okay.
That's you know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
Know exactly what that is.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
But I think that's great and that's big because
Yeah.
we will show up for other people
Absolutely.
and then take ourselves for granted. Like
Absolutely.
we're like, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." It's so easy to be like, "Oh, I'll do it later." But no, you're absolutely right. Like you have to show up for yourself just as you will for other people.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I tell you, that lit a fire under me. And Renee, just again, to encourage you, that lit such a fire under me in such a way that it illuminated everything that I was doing. Everything. So very shortly after that, I decided I was going to retire from my day job and work on my business and my firm full time, giving it and me the same level of energy that I was giving to my 9 to 5 and to everyone else. And when I finally gave notice, I knew this back in February. I gave them 2 months notice and maybe about 2.5 months notice. And at the time when I gave the notice, when I tell you the freedom I felt, and I didn't have it all figured out. Okay, so for a perfectionist, that can be scary, but I had no fear because I knew this is what I'm supposed to be doing in this particular season of my life. So I'm going in blog. I am going in with or without the parachute. I'm jumping off the cliff. It's time to do this. And as I was packing up my home office, I found a sticky note that said quit date. September, it was like September 15th or something like that, 2022. It was almost a whole year that had passed. I didn't even grieve the fact that I didn't, do the thing until 10 months later. I was just excited and thrilled about the fact that I was finally taking a leap and taking a stand and moving forward for me and for the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing in this season. And it's been a little scary sometimes, but it's been amazing. And things are happening and it's working. So
Amen.
I'm excited.
Amen. Renee, you want to respond to that? Because I feel like I didn't hijack the whole conversation.
No, I mean, I feel like you can definitely help people who may be in a season of being stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, we started off and asked about COVID and how do people pivot from thriving to everything shut down. Now I want to get back to that place or whatever it is that God has for me. And a lot of people may be stuck in that season. So I feel like you are on the scene right now, full time.
Yes.
When Esther, you've been called for such a time
for such a time as this.
Yes. So I feel like now you've been called full time for such a time as this, where small businesses are folding, and before they throw in a towel, here you are, Miss Kim Wilson, ready to help those businesses who are down, help them get back up. And sometimes, like you said, we do need somebody to help pull our thoughts out of our head, off of all of our sticky notes we have everywhere, notes everywhere. And I feel like you are in a place spiritually where you can not only lead people just to say, because some people, unfortunately, they will help you just to take your money. But I don't get that from you. I get that you truly care and you get down into the trenches with people to help them get back up. So I don't know. I just pray nothing but God's favor over everything that you do. I do.
Thank you. Yeah. But that's what's going, understanding what your purpose is and your passions and using that to help identify who your ideal client is. It makes it fun to do. It makes it rewarding because when you're working for someone else, you don't get to choose who you work with.
Right.
You don't get to choose. But when you're your own boss, why would you handicap yourself in that same way by saying, I help everybody? No, you don't help everybody because your ideal client isn't even, how can your ideal client find you if you're marketing everything to everybody?
Wow.
But if you know who your ideal client is and you work with their pain points, and they'll come to you because you'll be like a magnet. You're like, no, that's the person I need to be working with. That person right there. That person gets me. That person understands me. That person, yes. Because there are a million coaches out there. A million. I don't know how many are, but there are a lot. There are a lot of coaches today, and a lot of them came to the forefront during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
There are a lot of coaches, but there are only a handful of coaches who speak your language.
Wow.
So, that if you're looking for a mentor in any regard, it's like looking for a therapist. It should be like looking for a therapist. And that, again, you don't have to just take the first therapist whose name pops up in the Google search. You can do a deep dive. It's like, what do the patients of this therapist say about this therapist? When I'm reading the reviews, is that speaking to me?
Right.
Otherwise, you're throwing money away. And to Renee's point, you're throwing money away to somebody who's just taking your money, and they're just going to give you the thing. It's like the
Right.
difference between a do-it-yourself program and working with someone, one-on-one or even in a group where you actually get to connect with a live person.
Right.
A one-on-one program, I can give you the workbooks and all of the things and the tools, but you're doing it by yourself. You don't have that human connection to kind of toss ideas off of and, kind of work through things with. You don't have that, you're missing that community. And so, finding out again what you're supposed to be doing, that provides a sweet spot and a sweet space for you and your clients.
Amen. Amen. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Somebody named Ethel Talley.
That's my cousin.
I know who she is. You know I know who she
I know you know.
is. You ladies rock. Love you because you are amazing. So proud of you.
Thank you, cousin.
Yes, 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 yes. That is awesome. So, okay.
Well, I do have a free gift for your listeners, and we'll get the link for them. It's 5 quick tips to overcoming overwhelm. It's not the kind of thing that gives you a deep dive by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some tips that, when you're in that moment and you just need, you're like, somebody get me off the ledge. There's some tips that I found that work very well. You don't necessarily need all of the tips that, in each instance, 1 or 2 of them may help. But I'm more than happy to provide the link for that. And then,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay, thank you. We appreciate that. And I know our listeners do as well. I mean, this season is, I always think that around this time of year is a little overwhelming for people.
Yes.
We're like in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
We're thinking about the holidays. We're thinking about like what is going to, we're already in next year. What am I going to do? What haven't I done? And this is the season really where that will be very, very helpful.
Okay. And you know what? Do you mind if I speak to that? Because
not at all.
Okay, because we've definitely been speaking more in terms of, when as a business owner or a leader, in a career is feeling overwhelmed, how do you handle that? But you make up some very good points. Going into the holidays, just everybody. We begin to feel overwhelmed, either because of broken relationships, trying to do all the things we've always done financially, even though those habits may have strapped us financially.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you do things differently? And if COVID didn't teach us anything, it should have taught us how to appreciate what we have when we have it, no matter how little, because many people lost their jobs. Many people had to, families had to move in. I'm talking families, people who had their own house or apartment had to move in with other family members. So there were more people in the house at one time. So let's focus on appreciating the non-tangible things we have and building those relationships. And instead of setting yourself up for further financial failure by buying a whole lot of things, begin to talk to your children today about being financially secure and making good financial choices. Talk to them today. Don't wait until Christmas. Right. But look at maybe ways that we can give gifts that don't cost a lot of money, or that are homemade gifts. As a family, can we? And this was one thing my daughter and granddaughter and I did last year. Well, I love to bake. I love to cook. but I really love to bake. And I said, you know what? Again, coming off of COVID, right? I was like, I want to give homemade gifts. I want to give the gift of dessert because I really am good at it, and my family loves it. And so we went and we bought like the little, cellophane bags and ties and all the decorative crafty stuff, right? And my daughter made she made body scrub that was smelled so good and felt so good on your skin. And I made pumpkin filled cream cheese filled pumpkin cookies and little pies and cakes. And so we put together baskets for our family. And then my granddaughter and I went and we hand delivered them. And they absolutely loved it. We were getting calls. We were getting calls on the way home. Do you have any more to apple pie? It was like, listen, those were samplers. And I mean, it was hilarious because there were family members who were like, well, how about you get the cookies and I get the pie? And they were like, well, call Aunt Kim. No, y'all have to work that out on your own, right? But it was a wonderful way to come together and use a skill, and it was fun, but so I guess my charge is find things like that where you can do together, where you can come together. I would have my nieces and nephew come over and we make Christmas cookies.
Right.
They were helping my grandchildren build gingerbread houses. It was hilarious, right? So like three different three kits, and so they were working on teams, and I'm a little competitive, and my family's kind of competitive, and so then it was absolutely hilarious. But those are memories.
Yeah.
That cost, the kits were like $10 a piece, right? $30. We had a whole evening. Right. We made pizza, and so it's look at the things like that rather than putting yourself in financial bind that carries over into the new year. Nobody needs that.
Indeed. That is absolutely the truth.
Yes, it is.
Yes. It's
so,
very
Kim,
mm-hmm.
Do you have any closing thoughts for us, or where people can find you too?
Wait a minute. Before you do that.
Okay.
Did you tell me you had a special project coming up?
I do, but I don't want to announce it yet.
Okay.
Because again, in terms of the planning and stuff, I need to solidify a few things.
Okay. So we'll have a part 2.
So maybe have a part 2. That works.
Yes.
That works. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can be found on LinkedIn, Kimberly Talley Wilson. And we'll put the links. I'll provide you guys with the links so that they're there and everyone can get to it. But yes, so I am on there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. And Facebook, it's Kimmy T. Wilson. I'm gonna change that. But anyway, that's because when I was in my 9 to 5, I would keep work and my personal life separate. So it's like, you won't find me. But yeah, so in any event, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram as well, but I will provide those links, and then we can go from there.
Awesome, Saw. So yes, we will drop the link to the free gift and to how you can find her. So we'll put it in. I think we can still put it in this chat. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we can put it in.
Yeah. Okay. So we will do that. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, in closing, I think the thing I would like people to take away would be, give yourself permission to say no. Give yourself, you don't need permission from others to say no. Give yourself permission to say no, because sometimes we say yes to everything. And that leads to, that's that overcommitment, which leads to overwhelm, which leads to us feeling like we're drowning. And when we're doing that, we tend to not get, take care of ourselves the way we need to. We're not getting enough sleep because we're trying to be all things to everybody. We're not eating right. We're not exercising. And those are things that we need to keep at the forefront of who we are. Taking care of yourself is so vitally important, because if you're not good, healthy, emotionally and physically and spiritually, how can you show up as your best self for others?
Amen.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Learn to say no and basically not feel bad or guilty about it.
That's it.
Not at all.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Well, amen.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kim, for some advice. And I'm going to be contacting you myself. Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
Yes, contacting you myself, because you hit on so many things, the spiritual aspect, as the business aspect, everything, and the personal, how they all like intertwine and go together. So I definitely will be calling you.
Absolutely.
Amen. Yes, and thank you all for watching. All shout out to the Talley family. Boop, boom.
Yes.
Yes, and the Wilson family. Thank you everybody for watching. It was great. Kim, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yes. So
yes.
Thank
and
you.
And this is available on Facebook, YouTube, and also our podcast on all major platforms, Apple, everywhere. So watch, listen, your car, everything. So hopefully we'll be hearing from everyone next week, and we'll have part 2 so we can learn about your new project too.
That's right. When you're ready,
Yeah,
back and let's tell it.
That works.
Yes,
you guys take care.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.
All right.